Just cat it!
Hello! Let's create your first automated test against your data. Use Cat Studio for creating your first test. It is the easiest and quickest way. In Cat, you organize your tests into projects. So the first thing you need is a project. Go to the project page and create a new empty project. Cat Studio created Project 1 for you, which you can see in the application title. Now you need to tell Cat where your data is. This means you need to create a data source. You can do that here from the project page, or from the Data Sources page. In the New Data Source dialog, you'll need to provide 3 things. First, you need a nice nickname for your data source. That is the name you'll be using in your tests. I'll call my data source Aero, as I'm going to test data of a fictitious airport operator. Second, you need to provide is what type of data you want to test. Cat can connect to a variety of sources. Relational database management systems, for example MySQL or MariaDB, data analytics platforms, for example Power BI or Snowflake, files like Excel or CSV, ODBC sources, and others. For this example, I'm going to test data in a locally running MS SQL server. And third thing you must provide is the info about how to connect. In my case, to what server, to what database. Just the usual connection details you're familiar with from other tools. And finally, click Apply Changes. This way, you can add as many data sources as you need. When you have your data source or data sources created, you can continue to the Tests page, where you'll create your first test. Click Add a test. Cat Studio created a new empty test. Tests page has 2 parts: Grid with all tests, and Detail of selected test. When you focus on a single test, you can hide menu and drag the splitter to make more room for the test detail. Every Cat test needs 3 things: a query, an expectation, and a name. Here in the query editor, you can edit and run queries. In my example, I'm inspecting passenger data. Let me run the query to see the results. I'll create a test for the age column. My expectation is that the age is never higher than 120 years. If there are such rows, it is very likely a data quality issue. So let's tweak the query. And again, let's run the query. The query returns no results, which is good. There's no erroneous data. However, I don't want to manually run this check repeatedly. What I really want is to automate this test, so I'll know immediately if something goes wrong with my data in the future. For that, 2 more things are needed. An expectation. In my case, I'll set the expectation to Set is empty, because I don't expect this query to return any rows. And a name for the test. Name of the test and many other test settings are on the 2nd tab. Use short but descriptive names for your tests. I'll call mine Age Check on Passengers Data. Let's run the test now. The test passed. Now, let's create another test. I want to check that no ticket is cheaper than 500 Czech crowns. It will check data in the same table, so I'll simply duplicate this test. Since I'm now looking for something else in this test, the query needs a small adjustment. Let's run it. As you can see, My expectation is not met. I didn't expect any rows to be returned. Let me run the test. But it deserves a better name first. No too cheap tickets. When I run the test, it fails. Notice there is only one row in the erroneous data sample. By default, CAT fails the test immediately when it spots the very first problem. If you want more rows in the sample, you can tweak this setting, Maximum Errors Logged, and rerun the test. The sample now contains more rows. I have now 2 automated tests, and I can rerun them any time I want with a single button click. No manual checks for problems in data anymore.
Just cat it!